Right, welcome to regular meetings, Guadalupe City Council, Tuesday, October 11th, 6 p.m. Antonio is there in some kind of warm land. Can you hear us, Antonio? There he
I
is.
can hear you. It's actually raining.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Back with
Let me see
you.
that. Show by the ring.
Thank you.
Okay, can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Ramirez,
Virtually here.
Councilmember Cardenas,
Here.
Councilmember Costa Junior,
Here.
Councilmember Robles,
Present.
Mayor Julian.
Here, we have an point. Please stand and join us in the pledge of allegiance.
No, I didn't want you to do that. That's okay.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States.
America. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We heard you loud and clear.
Perfect. Yeah, I was like, oh, great.
Right, next item is agenda review. Is there a council member that wishes to move around a particular agenda, the order of the agenda? Yeah. All right, next item 4 is ceremonial calendar. The first one is Hispanic Heritage Month, September 15th through October 15th, and Councilwoman Cardenas is going to read that for us.
So the proclamation for Heritage Month, whereas the city of Guadalupe recognizes and honors the contributions of all members of our community. And whereas the observation of Hispanic Heritage Week started in 1968 under President Lyndon Johnson and was expanded by President Ronald Reagan in 1988 to cover a 30-day period starting on September 15th and ending on October 15th. It was enacted into law on August 17, 1988. And whereas September 15th is the anniversary of independence for 5 Latin America countries, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua, and Mexico, achieved independence on September 16th, and Chile achieved independence on September 18th. And whereas Hispanic Americans brings a cultural heritage representing many countries, ethnicities, and religious traditions, which contribute to America's future. And whereas during National Hispanic Heritage Month, the United States celebrated the culture and traditions of the Spanish-speaking residents who trace their roots to Spain, Mexico, Central America, South America, and the Caribbean. And whereas throughout the history of the United States, members of the Hispanic community have helped shape the social, political, and economic landscape of this country and our community. And whereas the city of Guadalupe invites all members of the community to celebrate 2022 Hispanic Heritage Month. Now, therefore, be it resolved that by virtue vested in mayor on behalf of the city council, we do hereby recognize September 15th to October 15th as Hispanic Heritage Month.
Good, thank you. You know, I've traveled, just this morning, I traveled going up to Napomo and see hundreds of cars, literally, of people in the hoop house. Coming back from Santa Maria, if you came back today from Santa Maria, you see hundreds of cars that belong to farm workers and Latinos and Hispanics. And we owe gratitude to all the Hispanic Latinos for what they do and what they can do. So thank you for reading that. And well, our next item is we have Mr. Robles, Councilman Robles, Filipino American History Month, October 2022.
Thank you. Proclamation is the Filipino American History Month for October 2022. Whereas the heritage of the Filipino people enriches our own culture, and we welcome the history, culture, and contributions of the Filipino American community to our state, our city, state, and nation. And whereas Filipino American History Month was established in 1988 to commemorate the arrival of the first Filipinos who landed in what is now Morro Bay, California on October 18, 1587. And whereas the Filipino American National Historical Society recognizes the year 1763 as the date of the first permanent Filipino settlement in the United States in St. Malo Parish, Louisiana. And whereas the California Department of Education first recognized October as Filipino American History Month in 2006 by placing it on its celebration calendar, while the 111th Congress of the United States and the California State Legislature also gave recognition. And whereas for generations, the United States of America has been fortified by the talents and efforts of the diverse residents of Filipino descent. And whereas the Filipino American community continues to accomplish its goal to foster understanding through the development, promotion, and preservation of Philippine values, culture, and tradition. These citizens have truly made a difference, and their professional and civic involvement will continue to enrich our communities far into the future. Now therefore, it be resolved by the virtue and authority vested in the mayor on behalf of the city council and the city of Guadalupe, we do hereby recognize October 22nd as Filipino American History Month.
Great, thank you. You want to talk a little bit about the display out there that you,
Oh, yes, if you guys get a chance to pass through City Hall, I put together a display in the glass case representing the first generation that got here approximately in the 1920s and 30s. And they were called the Monroe generation, and they lived up and down the West Coast. They were some of the first labor force probably in the West Coast. Came here as U.S. nationals and endured, worked hard, and made their footing here in the States. If you guys could go by, check it out. It's a lot of rich history, and the pictures there, the big panoramic pictures are taken in Leroy Park, 1937 and 1938.
very cool. Yeah, well, thank you for setting that up. And we were talking when we looked at it, we should have had, and we will next time, having Hispanic or Latino and then the Filipino American.
And I'm on the bubble.
Okay, yeah, we got a couple bubbles here. All right, thank you, both of you for doing that. I think it's important that we do recognize it. Next time we'll do it in Spanish and maybe in
Yes.
Tagalog. Basayan, whatever. Well, he's good at that, he can do it. All right, presentation, Guadalupe Community Air Monitoring Project, Mr. Diaz Correa. Hey, good to see you again.
Thank you, yes.
Yeah, I got it right here.
You want a clicker?
Yes, get that to you right now. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. We got it.
Well, welcome and thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me again. I'm really excited to talk about this project. This is separate from FESA. This is my day job with the Community Environmental Council, and I'm really excited to talk about the new project, the Guadalupe Community Air Monitoring Project. As you can see here, there is an air monitor that was built by one of our partners, Blue Tomorrow. And at the bottom is actually one of the community changers who works for the Little House. This is actually one of the first times that I work with the Little House to meet with farm workers and help kind of distribute information. And so I really wanted to include them just to kind of show kind of where the seed of where this project started. It's a big project, there's many different parts. And so I hope that in this brief time, I can be clear about the different parts of this project. So like I mentioned, I'm the Climate Justice Associate for the Community Environmental Council. The CEC is an environmental council that has been here for the past 50 years. They were established in 1970 after the Santa Barbara oil spill, and they have really been providing climate leadership for the past 50 years. And again, CEC has been recognized a lot recently. Our CEO was recognized this year, and CEC was recognized in 2020 as one of the nonprofits of the year. There were several. And so, yeah, as far as this project and this presentation, I wanted to go over the partners, the funding, exactly where it's coming from, a quick timeline, even though it's not complete yet, talk about our goals, talk about one of the tools that we'll have up, which is a website, and then a big chunk, which is the other half of the project, which is the outreach and education piece, And again, this is another picture. These are two of the community changers. Educating a lot of men, farm workers in Spanish. And so again, that is something that I thought was really great and we wanted to continue doing with this project. So our partners, like I mentioned, our technical partner is Blue Tomorrow. They are an environmental consultant company also based out of Santa Barbara. They have worked in several kind of similar capacity, providing several communities, indigenous communities with similar air quality monitoring, data analysis and reporting. And so they've really done this several times with many different communities, specifically remote communities. Our funder is the California Air Resource Board. They are using cap and trade dollars, and this is one of the clean air initiatives that was funded. And again, they are focused in disadvantaged communities, and because of the EnviroScreen 4.0, Guadalupe ranks really high in kind of air quality concerns and air quality issues. And our other partners are our language service, Rooted Language Services, or Justice, as they changed their name. I spoke about them at Fresa, but they also work with CEC to provide the language justice consulting, the interpretation, the translation, and the consultation that's really needed for kind of deep access, improvements. And the last one is the APCD, the Air Pollution Control District. There are local partners here for the county. They are already providing a lot of the monitors, a lot of the reporting and the website, and there's a phone tool that we're working with them. And so they're kind of the local experts, again, who have already been doing this, and we're again partnering with them for this project. Sorry, I just saw a light here. Our local stakeholders are also really important, and those involve the school district, the Guadalupe Union School District, specifically Dr. Emilio Handel, who was able to sign a letter of support, but also FSA, Los Amigos, and the Dune Center. These, for me, really represent, again, the history of advocacy on climate, on education, and specifically with students. That's another big piece of this project, is besides providing infrastructure, is really providing a lot of engagement and educational tools and materials. So we really are excited that we kind of had this history and kind of have been working with these groups to really support us and again coordinate on upcoming events. One person that I actually want to give special thanks is Dr. Dina Montague. She's a researcher at UCSB. She actually led an interview of farm workers with FSA, the Little House, and myself. We were able to interview a lot of volunteers that work in Guadalupe and work in the ag field around us. And again, that was one of the big seeds of what are the issues, and she was able to point out the lack of data, which is kind of one of the things that we really wanted this project to fix. It's just the lack of monitors and the lack of sensors. So I want to slow down a little bit and just give you a sense of the timeline. We're not fully developed, so the second half of the project is kind of, there's more to do there, but this is a multi-year project. I think that's something that I want to kind of stress, is that we're going to be providing the monitors and the data analysis for 3 years. And we hope that in that time, this can give you a baseline, but can also give us a chance to really learn from the community members what their questions are, what their priorities are, and start talking about just basic education on what is air quality, how does it change, what impacts it, and kind of how do you use these tools effectively. So we're going to be doing that, like I said, until March of 2025. We got this funding in March of this year. We got $300,000 for this project. And we've been spending the last 6 months just organizing, purchasing the sensors, building the monitors. And now that the monitors are built, we're actually ready to install them this month. And by December of this year, we're really going to have a public website that will report these, and we'll be able to be at the schools, again, giving community members updates. And so we hope to do that basically every 6 months or so. So we hope to kind of have continual updates to not just educate folks on like general terms, but also talk about the trends. Would you see, what was the air like? You know, is there anything that's concerning, or are there things that weren't as bad as maybe we were imagining? And again, the other important thing is that there are existing tools. So we're not making anything from scratch necessarily. And so we really want to get a lot of feedback on what the county is currently using. Right now, there's a text system that is English and Spanish, but we know that we are multilingual, and one of the things that this project will work with the Air Pollution Control District will be to provide this multilingual feedback, making sure that they have video and audio, so anyone can really get a sense of what's happening during these different air quality events. Now, to kind of give you a big idea of the different parts, there is the monitor, the data analysis, and the reporting. That is about half of the project. So over half of the budget is for Blue Tomorrow to do the actual sensors and kind of data science of it. And the other half is really in outreach, education, interpretation, translation, and that feedback that's really important for the county. And the thing that's less clear, but we will be figuring that out with community members and with leaders, is a community air quality action plan. We know that the city is interested in a climate action plan. And so we hope that by the end of the 3 years, you know, we can kind of summarize what we've learned, what the community kind of is showcasing as what their questions are, what their concerns are. And we hope that that will be a resource for the city when they implement their climate action plan. These are many different parts. And again, this is a multi-year project. And so the thing that I really wanted to highlight is the data piece. Again, it's a lot of information and I can't really get into it today, but the big piece of these monitors is that they're going to expand what we can currently detect. Right now, we have sensors for PM 2.5. That basically talks about the size. It's the smallest size that it can get deepest into your body. And so those the county currently looks at in a regional sense. So they can tell you basically from Nipomo to Lompoc what that quality is like. What this project will do is it'll be providing 4 air monitors within the city of Guadalupe. So we're going to get a better idea of what that looks like on the streets for community members. In addition, it's going to expand and add sensors like nitrogen oxides, ozone, and volatile organic compounds. Just to kind of clarify, these are a mixture of transportation and just general air quality issues like the agriculture that surrounds us. But these sensors are not focused on industrial pollution. So these are more focused on kind of everyday, what we expect next to our businesses or living just next to our neighbors. That's the air quality that we're really concerned about. And we're using this as an opportunity to just highlight the education piece. What is air quality? What is AQI? And again, the fact that air quality is dynamic. It changes throughout the day and throughout the year. And so we want to give community members a sense that it changes and we have to kind of be vigilant. One of the things that's really important for this project is that community members know that air quality is a concern. So we're not here to educate them about what the issues are. We're really here just to give them a space to ask questions. What exactly is in our air is a question for someone who has lived here and grew up here. We worry about that all the time, but we have nothing to attach it to. We have just this fear. And I know that for my family, we call it pesticides, right? We don't know that there are more pollution or different criteria of pollutants. That's not just pesticides that really impacts the quality of our air. And so it's not to, again, tell them what the problem is, but it's really just to give them a space, to give them the vocabulary, give them the space to highlight what their concerns are and give them an idea of what is in our air, right? This is not a judgment piece. This is really a current condition and baseline. So one of the things that we want to do is develop a website. This website is going to showcase basically what each monitor is doing. AQI is a summary of different sensors. So the air quality that you end up reading is a summary of many different things. And so you can't point to one specific pollutant at a time. And so we hope to clarify that and provide, FAQs, how to use this tool. And one thing I haven't highlighted as much is that all of these tools will be bilingual at a minimum. So these will all be in English and Spanish. These will be accessible within the website on your phone and on tablets. I know most people probably aren't on their computers anymore, especially if you're out working. And so we're really excited to make sure that this tool works well when you're looking at it on your phone. But it's not just going to be, numbers. As much as I like numbers, those can be pretty boring. And so we really want to make sure that it's a tool, that it explains itself, that it's clear, and that you don't have to spend, an hour to figure out what it works. And so we really want to make these tools clear, and they're going to be many different parts. A lot of them are just going to be educational pieces. So to summarize, this project is really providing a lot of infrastructure. Right now, this region does not have a way to assess on the community scale, on the ground scale, what's our air quality like. We just don't have those sensors, and neither does the county. And so we're really excited to just provide these sensors so we can begin this discussion. This is not going to fix it in the long term. This is only 3 years, but we're really excited to provide a baseline and to, again, begin to talk about these alert systems and these alert notifications and get feedback from these tools. Because I know I've been on them and they're not always the most enticing or exciting. And so we want to hear, and the county wants to hear, how to make it better. Now, the community benefits, like I mentioned, there's going to be education, not just through the school events like parent-teacher night, but we also want to do community workshops that talk about the reporting, have an area for discussion. And this is really going to be helped out by the reporting. The reporting will be done every 6 months or so. But we're also going to be hiring an intern. We hope it's an intern from Guadalupe or from Santa Maria. But this intern is actually going to be able to do the maintenance on the actual boxes with me. So we'll be biking around or what have you. I don't know how we'll get around, but basically we're going to be doing the maintenance every 2 weeks, and they're also going to be involved with the schools, hopefully, to do some of this education. I know when I was younger, the scientific opportunities were few and far between, and I got my degree in biochemistry, and I started here at Bonita School and at Mary Buren. And I remember seeing the planes spraying pesticides in the farms around me and not knowing what it was. So I'm personally really excited to bring this project and that it's also providing not just a direct benefit, but a benefit hopefully to a young scientist or a young student. While this project is focused on air quality and air quality pollution, we understand, and I understand, that pesticides is a community concern. It may not be categorized under air pollution, but if we don't address it, we didn't, answer people's questions. And so this project also has a small budget to do limited pesticide sampling. So we're actually going to be able to do some at parks and other kind of community hubs to kind of give community members a sense of what is that like. Again, that's not the main focus of this project, but we really felt that is a huge community concern, and we wanted some way to address it, or at least say that we tried. We want to give you a sense of what the current conditions are like. And again, for the city and for the county, this project is funded. And so there's no cost to the actual city. The research is paid for until 2025. And these monitors provide a huge benefit, hopefully for the community members, but for the city, because this is going to provide a baseline, like I've been mentioning, to measure our climate impact. I know that not just the city of Guadalupe, but the county is really going through this big change, right? They're going to be implementing a lot of changes, and we need to find a way to prove that these lower or did these improve the quality of our air. And so this project will hopefully provide that, and it'll hopefully provide future funding opportunities. So we hope if we, that we can keep these monitors here long-term past the 3 years. I think that would be great, but again, there's a lot of different parts to this project. I couldn't get into most of them. But we have 3 years to do this, and that's I think what I'm really excited about is you'll be seeing me and CEC here a lot more for the next few years, and so we're really excited to begin the data collection and really begin the outreach, which this is the first start. So I really wanted to have leadership kind of know about this project. But again, there's many different parts. I probably went over. But yeah, are there any questions? I just wanted to thank everyone for listening. It's a lot of information, but if you have questions, I can answer them right now, or you can email me.
Antonio, you have a question? I'm gonna start with the long distance guy.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Are you still there?
Oh, I had no questions. No questions.
Questions or comments from the council?
What was the total amount of stations that you guys were utilizing?
Yeah, so this project is actually purchasing 5 monitors. So there's going to be 4 monitors that are located within the city of Santa Maria. So 1 at each school and 2 in other community hubs. And one of them is actually going to be placed in Santa Maria for reference. But it's still a new monitor and it's still going to have those different sensors. So even the community of Santa Maria will benefit a little bit, but that one is for reference.
Yeah, I have a couple questions.
There's a lot. I know there's so much and I'm so.
No, this is good. So you said 4 are here, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then, how's the internship promoted, that opening?
Yeah, so we are finalizing the details right now, and so
Okay.
we're gonna start just pushing it basically in the next month or so.
Okay,
I have a short list of folks, mostly from, people that we've heard like Cristina Hernandez and Mireya, know a lot of folks. We know that there are some local teachers at the schools that are good advocates.
yeah,
And so again, for me, I really want to get, like a young person who's really interested in science or just in educating folks. It is a paid internship. And so it's probably about up to 15 hours a week. But you definitely understand if you're a student, you need to be flexible. So we're going to be really excited to make sure to get a local person and a bilingual person at least.
okay. And then, are these monitors loaned?
No, they are purchased. They are,
But for our city, would they be loaned to the school district? Because I think they're gonna be placed in the school
so
district.
they're being placed in the school district. I don't know as far as ownership, I don't think.
Like, do we get to keep them,
You-
or are they gonna go away after 3 years?
They would be here. So I think the question would be, who would be doing the maintenance and the data analysis? But as far as will they be here and stay here? Yeah, that is the plan.
Okay,
And so it's more of a matter of, like, after 3 years, is there funding to keep doing the analysis? But for the monitors, yes, we can,
got it.
they're bought and paid for.
Yeah, I just didn't know if they were gonna be then like taken to somewhere else, or
No,
we
no.
get to keep them here in the city.
No, they were purchased kind of specifically for this. I mean, I think I could get more information
Okay,
specifically to that question, but the intention is, these are for the community of Guadalupe.
thank you.
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned 4. And you said Santa Maria.
Yes, so one of them is in Mary Buren, one of them will be placed at Kermit McKenzie.
Okay.
And the other one, I'm working with Hannah to site them. We're looking at Central Park as well as Jack O'Connell Park. And so we really are hoping to give a wide view but also focus on the kind of the community hubs. Where are the community members already?
Have, I mentioned earlier all the cars, that the California Air Resources Board provides money to the Air Pollution Control District of the county of Santa Barbara. And part of CARB and part of SBK and Air Pollution Control District is those CAL vans. The CAL vans have there's 15 passenger vans that pick up farm workers and take them to sites. And I mentioned those cars that I've seen, and it says to me that there's literally 200 cars from the bridge to Division. Because they got the hoop houses on the left side. So they park on the left side and right side. And if you look down, if you went to Santa Maria this morning, there was probably another 150 cars because of the strawberries on the right side before you get to Bonita. And I didn't see any CAL vans. And we have, Santa Barbara County has about 158 through the whole county CAL vans. And Guadalupe has, I think Santa Maria has 53, and we have about 8. 2 of them are located down on Pioneer Street. And there may be a couple more that may be located throughout the city. So it's really strange to me that the farmers, and I'm sure that's going to be looked at, that the farmers that create these thousands of acres of produce and have people drive to these areas, and especially with the gas as much as it is, that we're missing something. If you go to 11th Street and I think you live close by there, but if you go 11th Street at 6 o'clock in the morning, all you see is traffic going to Slow County. And you look at 2:30, 3 o'clock, you see traffic coming back through. There's an ex-councilman, I'm not gonna name his name, he's not here, but he complains about the traffic that's going through there. And that's pollution. And you know that this area here, this area has been identified as one of the highest pollutants in Santa Barbara County. And yeah, you got cars that are going to, thousands of acres of strawberry, thousands of acres of produce, and it's polluting. And I think that's a good site to have it on Meridian, because you've got the prevailing winds from 11th Street, they go right by the school, and you have all the carbon monoxide that's being pushed into our community. And then you have Highway 1. And you have Highway 166. So I'm glad to see this going. I think the monitors, you probably need one, more than just one. I know you got about 4 or 5, but this community doesn't deserve to be suffering from, pesticides or, and you look at another thing when I guess I travel a lot, because when I'm coming from Orchid area, I see these pumps, the water pumps, that you see nothing but carbon coming out of the diesel powered, the compressors. And
highlighted for decades. But it's really to give them a voice and expand to what extent, but which one should we be, looking at or questioning? And so, yeah, so this is really to, again, provide the first step. Again, I think if the city wanted to expand to like sulfur sensors, that I definitely can imagine community members asking about the smell. That's not a sensor that we currently have. And so those would be more, agricultural or more industrial pollution focused. And so this project, again, we're really focused on providing infrastructure and providing some reporting and really focusing on educating just what is AQI, what is air quality, and start from there.
Could you,
Yeah, no, this is exciting. I think we've needed to have some type of monitoring to know what, I've always heard we have bad air quality and I'm like, well, what would be bad air quality? Because when I associate air quality, it's industrial, right? Like factories, we don't have that. We have agricultural. But it'd be nice to know, really into the data, what is impacting and what is it that we have. So thank you.
just as a footnote, I know that area pollution control district is, provided, I don't know how many, probably 100 or so air purifiers several months ago, and they also did last Thursday. They actually, I think they contributed another 38 or 40 air purifiers for those in the food bank. So those are just little snippets of what we need to be doing in terms of, and then for folks to understand, why do you have this air purifier? Because there's issues with smoke, there's issues with pollution. So that's the educational part that this is key to. So thank you, and thank you.
Dr. Montague.
You want to say something? Or you good?
Oh, no.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Great.
you.
The next item is community participation. Is there anybody in the audience that has wants to approach the council on a topic that's not on the agenda? Did we receive any comments or requests?
No, sir.
To speak? Okay. Item number 7 is consent calendar. Is the community following items are presented for the city council approval without discussion of the single agenda item in order to expedite the meeting. Do we have a council member or staff wanting to pull one of the items that are on the consent calendar? There's a whole slew of them, so. Nothing from the council? Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar as provided? A motion to approve the consent calendar. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Any nays? All ayes. Thank you. Item number 8, city administrator report.
Real brief, I'm pleased to announce that an individual by the name of Ted Butler will be joining the city as our next HR manager. Beginning Monday, October 31st, on Halloween. He won't be coming dressed. We told him he has to wear, regular suit attire. Teg's most recently was with Curation Foods out of Santa Maria location, and his focus has been on human resources and payroll. So we welcome Teg. Be tough to replace the 2-time fill-in, but hey,
She's always around. So.
yeah. And Amelia, I think will probably be he'll probably shadow you probably close to the end of the year. Yeah. And then also, I can't mention the name, but a verbal offer for the lead maintenance has verbally accepted. So it's a matter of doing the background, and that ends my report.
Okay. Any questions of Todd? All right, item 9, I didn't forget you, Chief, Director of Public Safety, information on it.
I have no report tonight unless there's questions.
I do. Your update on the Hispanic Park.
Oh, that's right. I did see you there.
Yeah. I didn't win the bike.
It went great. I saw, if anyone looked at the park, I want to thank our staff. Park was beautiful. Well, not the speakers, but the park was really nice. The parking situation, you did a great job. It looked very professional. Everyone was having a great time. It was raised a lot of money for the kids and everything with the drawings. So I want to get a list of the ones who did the donations, so we can thank them. Very successful. And we had the other local police departments, Arroyo Grande and not Pismo, but Santa Maria, CHP. They showed up, and like I said before, we had a lot of kids, and if you want to comment on that, I enjoyed it to really see them there.
There was a lot of kids, especially around the political group, the little munchkins that were. I don't, what's that play where the little kid has a towel in his mouth? And so it goes around that girl on his tummy.
It's the iguana.
Iguana.
Yeah.
Okay, I've never seen that, so. I think Chief wants to volunteer to do that next week.
Not getting up.
But that was a great, it was a nice day. It cleared up. It was nice and sunny. So,
Very nice.
thank you, Hannah, and the public safety for making that happen.
Thank you.
Okay, mayor's report. I wanted to, why did I want to pull it? Item 10.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
This was regarding the end of the term for some recreation members.
Yes, that's it. Okay.
Yeah, and so I just want to know if we are actively looking, or are we waiting, or how do we get those replaced? I don't know.
What was the question?
For the recreation commissioners that
Oh.
are termed out already or are no longer in the seat.
Resignation.
Yeah, they're
I believe I just was going to make an announcement at the end, letting everybody know, just because I'm not really familiar with how that replacement works, but.
I think
Filling the space.
thanks for picking
filling
up on that, because that was included in the mayor's report, but it was also its recreation report. It's your minutes.
Is it one seat?
It's two. seats.
Yeah.
And normally, off the top of my head is that there's, and I see that, what's her name? The lady that does the cheerleader. Sorry, I forgot your name. But there's terms for these individuals, and I think, I can't remember the term, so she said that she is still on the board, so there's two positions open, so we need to get the word out, that we're looking for two commissioners, and they have to be appointed by the council. I think it's the council's responsibility to keep an eye on who he or she appoints, so that we can keep moving forward, and we don't want to lose any momentum, what's going on right now, and you and the department itself needs the support of the commissioners to basically get feedback to us and to you. So,
Mayor,
yes,
in times past, the seats were posted
right.
as in a job would be. So that can be done this time as well.
Yeah, I think we need to, because it surprised me to see that those two individuals had left. So, can we do that? Get these posted that we're looking for two individuals.
And then bring it to the council,
Okay, good.
and then bring it to the council.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I was at the park this past Sunday, in fact. And they're actually painting the mural, so it looks pretty cool. I was kind of concerned with the weeds. So when that new person it's not, that's what people say about getting something new, and when I get it new and then it's not maintained. That happened to O'Connell Park. It's not your fault. It's our fault for not focusing on making sure that we have something that's new, and then we maintain it, because people are gonna say, well, look, we put something new in the facility or in the community and it's not maintained, so. So I'm sure that's on your to-do list. Okay, anything else on that? No. Okay. All right. You can hear from more from Hannah here in a bit. So. Maybe right now. Regular business, facility parks. Facility and park use fee schedule changes.
So the recommendation is to review and approve the proposed changes, but my actual recommendation is just to get feedback. I'm not necessarily looking to adopt the resolution tonight because this is a big item.
It's huge, yeah.
So, any recommendations or feedback that you have for me, I definitely can bring this back again. One of the first recommendations is for the city auditorium fees and just the way that we process rentals for that, because honestly, one of the biggest ways that we're losing the opportunity to gain revenue from city auditorium is based off of nonprofits using it, which while I obviously am a big advocate for recreation and I want all those people to come and use it, at the same time, we can't be waiving fees for every single nonprofit that comes in there to use it, because we have a lot of nonprofits here that are recreation based, that are requesting that they use the auditorium 4 or 5 days a week for 2 hours a day, and that adds up. So one of or a couple of the attachments that I provided were 2 of special events that occurred that we waived the fees because they were a nonprofit, or at least lowered the fees. And then 2 other ones that were, I believe one was or both were recreation, but one was a private, not private, but one was the school district, and then another one was another nonprofit that we waived fees for. So I provided what the actual costs would have been if we actually would have charged them what we should have charged them versus what they paid. And it's a significant difference. And we've been tracking a lot of those because they've been occurring pretty frequently, where they just get waived because they haven't been charged in the past or whatever the case is. And that definitely needs to stop. So I really need support on that. So that's where, if you have recommendations for how we should set up those fees so that they are being charged and we are bringing in some type of money, but it's not too much for those nonprofits that are just breaking even on all of their programs. So city auditorium is definitely a big one. That's all. I actually am recommending that we lower the cost, because Vet Hall and city auditorium were being charged at the same rate, but Vet Hall has significantly lower occupancy and it has less amenities than city auditorium does. So I think part of the reason why so many people are wanting to utilize city auditorium versus Vets Hall is because they look at the cost and they go, okay, well, why would I want to go to Vets Hall if I have more space here, if I have more amenities here? So I think lowering the cost could help with getting more usage of that. I didn't recommend any changes for city council chambers unless you have any thoughts on that. For O'Connell and Leroy Park, I'm requesting that we lower it. If you compare what we're charging versus what Waller Park is charging or Orchid Community Park is charging, we're charging a lot more. And they have, in my opinion, a lot more amenities and nicer facilities than we do. Yet we're charging an arm and a leg, and no one wants to. Either what's happening is people just go and they don't reserve it or pay for it, and they just kind of do it on the slide. So we're not getting any money. So I feel that if we were to lower it, they might be more inclined to pay something at least, rather than just trying to kind of sneak in there. That's Memorial Plaza. I didn't have any changes for. For the building attendant, I actually am requesting that that be changed to an hourly rate rather than a flat rate. Because the amount of hours that they end up putting in doesn't match up with what the 150 covers. That's pretty much it for what I have to explain, but obviously I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of questions, so.
Yeah, it will be. Maybe you should change your mic. For one thing.
Want this?
Yeah. it doesn't matter.
That works nice.
No, sorry.
Any council has want to jump in? Any questions? I have questions, but I'll wait.
I have a question. How long are normally the hours for those event attendants?
It varies, but usually if it's for like a private event, like you can see at our wedding, Fridays are anywhere from 3 to 4 hours for setup, and then Saturdays, when the events usually are, is anywhere from 8 to 10 hours.
10 hours. Is that your?
Yeah, I just wanted to see if they're doing like just expensive hours at one time and how we're handling that, but yeah, okay. So it seems like.
Yeah,
it's
so
broken up.
we just are going through the process right now of doing another. How would I explain that? Yeah, recruitment for that position. So we're trying to recruit 2 people, so that way we can split it up, because at the time, it was more, I think, just because we didn't have anybody that was willing to do the job at the time, so we only had 1 person. And they were working the full 8 to 10 hours or whatever it was. So by having 2, then we could split up the hours, that way 1 person doesn't have to be there for the whole day. Yeah, that's so much feedback.
You got somebody has to turn it off. Go to the left. Anything, any questions or comments?
So are we, I mean, we get the feedback from Myra, but I mean, are we getting a lot of interest, but you say more towards the auditorium compared to the vets, correct?
The auditorium is definitely the biggest one that people are utilizing right now. There have been a lot of requests for the Leroy Community Center, but I'm just not sure. I didn't put anything in for that because I'm not sure where you guys stand with that. If you wanted to have something similar to the auditorium, or how you want that structured, especially given the whole thing with Boys and Girls Club and how we're, if we're gonna be charging them or not. I just don't want to set something in place that then they question, well, why are we paying this if everybody else is paying that?
It's because
Because I said.
we're working, one of the reasons with the Boys and Girls Club, we're moving them, not a lease, but an MOU, memorandum of understanding, which then gives us control who goes in there. That's the push, because then we have control, like the auditorium, who goes in there, because we have control over it. I had a couple questions, well, more than a couple. Now you have attachments, all these attachments that say nonprofit, attachment 3, attachment
Yeah,
4.
let me explain that,
Okay.
because I think it's kind of confusing.
Yeah.
Attachment 3 was a.
You redacted it. Who is that?
I read that, this was,
Yeah.
this one was a youth basketball group. Attachment 3 is a youth basketball group, and then
How long was that?
that was like roughly 3 months. Mhm.
When was this? October, that's 09, that goes way back. though,
That was
right?
June through September
Of which month, of which year?
of this year.
So was it that involved practice, that involved?
That was practice. That was just practice, but based off of. In the past, or at least from what everyone told me, nonprofits were not charged, they just were allowed to utilize it
Well,
free of charge.
Okay, we're in a different world
Mhm.
today. We put our money into making sure that the auditorium is very nice. And it cost us money, it cost everybody money. So that, what's the next one?
So attachment 4 is I believe that's the school district. So that was that wasn't the full use because they are continuing to use it for
Right.
basketball, but this was just for 2 months of volleyball.
And we're looking at a joint powers of agreement, which we had before, and the joint powers basically says, you can use ours and we can use yours.
Right.
But yours, being a school, they don't have much to offer, although they have fields and stuff, which has to be worked out. What's the attachment 5?
So attachment 5, the red is what was actually charged and the black is what should have been charged. So that was for when one of the nonprofits did a fundraising event in the auditorium.
Start with a K.
Okay.
So you say the red is what? The red is.
The red is what they were actually charged and the black is what they should have been charged. But because, so black is what any group that's not a nonprofit would have been charged, but because they're a nonprofit, that's what they were charged.
Now, so on that same one, they're looking at, it says fees in red, refundable. That's actually refundable?
For the cleaning deposit, yeah, the way that it was set up previously is that it was a $500 deposit, but if they left the auditorium in the same condition that it was when they had first arrived, then they would get $250 of that back.
Of the 500, so there's 250 that we keep,
Mhm.
because it's gonna cost us to clean it,
Yes,
back to the state that it needed to be in, so. So in this particular one, it says total of event fees is 1,019,
yes, so that's what they were actually charged as a nonprofit.
and so what did they actually, I can't do the math, but what did they actually pay? Nothing?
No, that's what I was saying, is the red is what they actually paid,
Okay,
and the black is what they would have been paid or what they would have paid if they were not a nonprofit. So there's $1,000 difference basically between nonprofits and anyone else.
you say the black. Am I looking at something?
The back.
On the back
The
side.
back?
Backside.
Oh,
Oh,
Go from
Oh.
back,
yeah,
They decided.
okay.
So
I see.
2049.
2049, 2000. And they paid 1,000, paid half of that. The next one was attachment 6. That's not,
So 6 was for Viva el Arte.
okay,
And so they are doing multiple uses, but from what they expressed to us is that they were never charged ever for any time that they ever used it, even on multiple occasions. So we did our best to work
It's a
with them based off of that, but the difference between what they should be charged versus what we gracefully offered them to charge is huge, because the way that we did it was just to charge for one time instead of each time that they were using it. But if we were to charge them for every single time we use it and the hours, it's a significant difference.
now the red in the back, is that the same one?
Yeah, so the red is what they should be charged based off their
Black is what they
hours,
do.
and the black is what they would have to.
That's a
charge.
free, that's a
Still haven't
$4,000 swing.
made any units yet because they haven't officially set any dates. They act. You know,
Is that the UCSB
Yeah.
extension?
yeah.
Don't they have money?
I asked
Paying
Todd,
for the artists to circle around and come here,
Yeah,
because they're
yeah.
really good
yeah, it's
talents.
good.
like that.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I asked Todd earlier, and I don't know, I'm assuming he mentioned it to you, I said, for my personal information, wanted to know what we were paying in the way of staffing, electricity, of cleaning, and what we were getting.
I think what's hard with that is that it varies depending on.
Especially if we're not charging them. So then it's really gonna vary. So,
Varies because each, whether it's a private event or a public one, it just depends on how messy it gets. Because there have been certain people that leave it extremely messy where they either don't return our phone calls to come and clean up, or they just leave it in a certain condition to where we have to end up cleaning it up. And so, certain ones leave it really nice and certain people don't. So it's just.
well, I think that one time that was after it was cleaned, that there was puddles in the floor and stuff like that. And that's obviously first of all, my feeling is that you get the money up front, say, if it's clean, you're gonna get some, not all of it back, but just a portion of it back.
Mhm.
And then what it would cost us to clean it. So we can't,
Which, we
can't even
need,
break even. We need to make some, some coins on it.
one of the recommended changes was for the, deposit for that, which originally was 500, and then my recommended change was to change it to 600. So 250 would be non-refundable and 350 would be refundable. So if they don't leave it in the good condition, then we keep that 350. But if they do, then that's their incentive to keep it clean.
I think what happens is that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and if somebody thinks this is beautiful, I cleaned it up, and we look at it and we say, no, it's not, because it wasn't it's not in the condition that we gave it to you. So, on one of my things, and we're hitting on that right now, is that we cannot give, to me, refund for cleaning deposit, because it cost us money to, to make it whole again. I had a little question on O'Connell Park on the barbecue area, and I know we've taken the locks off of that. Or have we?
The locks are still on there for
The barbecue
The
pit?
big pit,
the big pit area is the ones that we locked, and then we left the singular pit that's on the side closest to Guadalupe Street. We left that open for the public use. So that's just
Which one
for-
is that? I'm talking about O'Connell Park?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was
Okay.
thinking about Leroy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's, and when I came, there wasn't locks on it, so I don't know if you would like me to put locks on it, I can.
Well, my thing is, if you go to Santa Maria, I'm assuming they're locked unless you reserve it.
I would have to look at
Well,
that.
yeah.
My thing is that if they're not, if somebody sees it, and I think we took it, we meaning the city took the locks off so people could use it. Now, if people know that they don't have to pay,
They're just gonna use it.
they're gonna use it and then leave it pretty messy, so.
Yeah.
So I would check on that, because I think that we need to say, we're gonna lock it. If you want to use it, come and ask us how much it costs to use it. And then there's that fine line, not profit, non-profit, and I think that if you're using it, there's gotta be a charge, because there's a charge, there's wear and tear. There's staff that have to clean it up. And thanks for explaining that, these attachments, because I didn't know what they were talking about. Now, on the private side, these are all nonprofit?
Yeah, all the attachments are nonprofits.
Now, what about the private side? What, are we collecting from these folks?
On a
You
private,
know,
Yeah,
the fees?
yes,
Okay.
all the fees are charged to anyone that is a private event. The only ones that are waived are when it's a nonprofit.
Well, I think it's gotta stop. That's my opinion. It's cutting into our pocket. And I think the auditorium looks great right now with the painting and everything else there, so.
Just a fair warning, a lot of the nonprofits are telling me that they would like to do a request to speak to let you know why they think that they have their fees waived.
But why don't they go to Santa Maria then? And go over there and request to speak, to not be charged. You go to the vet center in Santa Maria to use it, which is an auditorium, there's a charge, and I'm sure it's not free. It's not free. You go to the muscle center. There over there in the Hancock, it's not free. I know maybe Shannon knows about that, but it's not free. You go to Lompoc and use one of their centers, it's not free. They could talk to them, we're blue in the place, but there's got to be a point where we say, and first of all, are all of them 501c3? Or do they say?
Oh, yeah, they are. They always provide me their,
Okay, yeah, here, yeah. Okay.
yeah. That's their out.
I think what happens in the years past, that there was a gentleman before you that said, yeah, no problem, it's free, I'll be the attendant. And then I'll, they don't have to pay for that, and don't worry about the lights, don't worry about cleaning up, don't worry about the fees, we'll take care of it, so that's passed. To me, that's my opinion. And the other thing is that there's wear and tear to that building, to all of the buildings we have. And who's gonna pick that up? Maybe the police budget, public safety or finance, find something out there. So we can, maybe, Bill will reduce his hourly rate to $25 an hour. I know that ain't gonna happen, and I'm not asking you to do that. But there's gotta be a change, and let people come and say, unless there's something out there. There's another one, it says memorial. Somebody has not the memorial.
So that was recommended by the Recreation and Parks Commission, that they feel that the regular rates, when it's a memorial service, should be lowered just because of all the fees that are associated with a memorial service and because of everything that's going on. Some of these fees were their recommendation and
Sure.
some of them were mine,
Yeah.
but
I think we make the decisions for recommendations. There's only 3 of them now, so we don't have to listen to them. No, I'm just kidding. We'll listen to
No.
you. You need,
Oh, I know of one that you would waive would be the Vets Hall for any veterans.
yeah.
Just to
We'll get
clarify
shot.
that, yeah.
Veterans have free use of that building.
Yeah.
yes.
Let's see. So they want us to waive the memorial charges for.
Not waive it completely where it'd be free, but just have it at the same rate as a nonprofit would.
That's almost free.
Well, so I'm saying, what if somebody in a nonprofit? Never mind, I don't want to do that. We have to realize that we're in a community like Guadalupe that doesn't have a lot of resources. Period. And that goes on the other side of the table too, that we don't have a lot of resources to maintain these buildings. Look at our facade on the outside of the building. It needs a lot of help. We're upgrading. We have now the Leroy Park. We have upgraded, the auditorium. So we need to be able to, to at least break even on these things. And one gentleman before you mentioned that he counted 20 grand. And I thought this was off the cuff, not off the cuff, but not.
Oh,
There was
during
$20,000.
COVID, during COVID.
No, even before that, there's
Okay.
$20,000 that was created by renting it. But then now we're saying that the rentals were free for the nonprofits, and that's where most of it goes, so.
So she would just need support, I would think.
What's that?
I think she would just need support
Well,
from,
of course, yeah,
from the council.
well. And
But when you say that, I know that our people will go and rent,
Our community will go to Santa Maria and they'll pay rent, they'll go to the homeowner pay the rent, the barbecue pits and all that. And it's true that here we have nice facilities now. And I don't mind paying if I want to reserve, and we should pay to reserve to use our parks and use the barbecue pits. Because when you go to Santa Maria, you're willing to pay. And I don't really feel that a lot of the nonprofits, if they're not totally supporting the money going into the city for the youth and stuff like that, then maybe they should think about go to Santa Maria and see, but they won't because they'll have to pay.
well, it sounds like you're requesting for the door to be locked. And then to determine how we can move forward on this, but I agree with you. I think that we need to, first of all, there was a move to say, we're gonna create leagues and resources to generate funds. There's no way we can do that if we're giving everything free, so. And I, you know, I belong to several nonprofits, and those nonprofits can raise money to pay that, and you know, again, balancing it out, making sure that it's nice to be able to do something here in town, and you have to pay for it. If they go to Santa Maria, they'll pay for it, but they, like you say, they won't. Any direction?
Do we have a feasibility study of how much it costs to keep up with these buildings? In terms of utility, I know we were looking at it at one point. I don't know if Shannon has given us some information regarding that.
We did some of the buildings.
She did Leroy Park.
That's what it.
Leroy Park,
I
yeah.
did it for Leroy Park and for Vets Hall,
Okay.
but I haven't done it for City Hall.
City Hall.
But that's an exercise I can certainly do if that's of interest.
I think that would be nice to
Yeah.
see how much we spend, maybe, and then do like a daily expenditure or something, we could bring it up, so that way when we are bringing issues to nonprofits or what the direction we're moving towards, we have, like, this is the reason why. It costs this much money, we need toilet paper, we need to pay the electricity,
Yeah.
the AC, heating system, that we need to cover the cost and break even at least.
I will say this facilities are challenging than those other two
Because it's
facilities because
different.
it also serves as our
Multiple.
city hall. We're
Right.
trying to parse out the portion of it that is our normal everyday business versus its use for rental facility. Makes it a little bit challenging to do this facility, but I can certainly take a look and see.
But we
if
could
there's a way to-
ballpark it, just to
Right.
have something to
Like,
say.
Put a pencil and paper and see what I can come up with.
Yeah, thank you.
Following up on what she just said, it is really difficult because even just ordering supplies, we order it for all of City Hall. It's not, and that's used for private events, that's used for whatever, yeah, the public, just every day. So it's hard to kind of split it up.
And I was gonna say, should we now consider into maybe doing, like, hey, this is just for rentals, and then this is for our daily usage. For, you know, running our city hall.
Oh, you mean
stuff.
ordering the stuff separate?
Like,
I see.
separate account.
I see what you're saying.
That's just hard because you don't really know how much supplies that you're gonna need for a private event. Just based off of how many people they have and.
Yeah, and they're already going to the bathroom.
But maybe like let's say we're creating a closet specifically for rentals, and then.
Yeah.
I don't know. Figuring something out of what is used.
You could swap out the toilet paper rolls during the event.
3 sheets each. You know, most of them, to me, most of
Well,
what,
I mean,
what's gonna happen, are you waving there, waving a fly over there?
Now, I'm sorry. I know I'm not supposed to say anything,
Yeah, you can, come on up.
but we.
idea building.
I
You
have
need to use the mic, you need to use the mic.
But
Yeah, we're being filmed.
Okay, so we have an event, so I feel your pain, Hannah. I also realized that. How much do you charge for the city hall?
Depends on the hours, but I think right now.
This is Alejandro Mahoney, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For the record.
So right now for the auditorium, the reservation lock-in is $100. The kitchen use is $100. Cleaning deposit is $500. And then the hourly rate is $90. So if someone wanted to use it for 8 hours. That's roughly like $1,400.
It's very, very cheap. So, I'm shocked that you have any time for nonprofits because at that rate, I would think that you would be booked completely for profit, you know, I mean, for individuals, so you're completely booked for individuals. I would raise that by about $2,000.
Wow.
Put that in writing. That's reality.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what things cost, huh?
I'll just give you an example. I'll just be honest. At our house, you get to rent our yard, right? It's gonna be $2,000 as of January 1st, and that's it. That's all you get. Do you get tables and chairs here?
There's 6 tables and 200 chairs, which they don't like our chairs, but.
Yeah, they
They're
normally
free,
bring in the
so-
chairs.
If we make more money, we can buy that. you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
and we're probably the cheapest place in Santa Maria because people are charging $5,000, easily $3,000, so.
Yep.
And having, what's your maximum capacity?
300-400. yeah,
With
depends.
tables and chairs, I believe it's 240, and then without tables and chairs, I think it's 520, 515, somewhere around there.
Our max capacity is 150. And
Yeah.
so the wear and tear on 150 is a lot different than 300. And, you know, I don't know. I'm being really nosy, but I just think that it's a beautiful building and it's an asset to our community and people need to respect it. And I don't even ever take a deposit because I know people will walk away and say, oh, just take the money. They tried that yesterday. And you know what it was? It was a funeral party or whatever, a memorial.
Yeah.
They said, well, how much can we pay you not to have to clean up? And I said, not enough.
Yeah.
I won't do it.
Yeah.
So it almost feels like you have to have, like I said, you Hannah, someone that has, you know, just this non-flexible, especially for a building like that, for the hall, I think. I mean, our place is outside, people have to rent tents, and so to have a place inside is really something that people are looking for.
That have restrooms, that have. everything.
Restrooms, a
And
kitchen, $100 for the kitchen,
Yeah,
What would you suggest for a kitchen?
500.
Okay.
So can I chime in real fast? I think now that we're kind of throwing out numbers and doing all these things, it's very anecdotal. And this is the part that I think where people get frustrated with when it comes to like groups. So if we want to do that, I think we should come back with an agenda item with like these updated numbers and anecdotal things.
And maybe, you know, people can come and talk about
Sure.
it. If, you know, if they knew it was an agenda item, then they could come in and plead their case for lowering rates or.
I think what's interesting about what you're saying is that the rate that we have right now, I constantly get complaints that it's too high and that they want to go somewhere else. And
It's always that way.
I say, you know what, if you can find somewhere else that has a better deal, then go for it, because let me know where that's at, because I'm trying to go there too.
I think what, and Antonio's right, we need to look at some of the specifics, and I think you're going in the right direction. I think, you need to be ironclad once we make these commitments, that this is gonna, you know, this is what it is, so.
You could
And you
do,
have our backing.
you could escalate it and test it.
Go ahead,
know.
Gene?
Whoops.
So
I know.
I know this has been something that's been a long time coming. Before I got on council, I remember former city administrator along with our HR at the time, they sat down with nonprofits and stuff like that about getting the fees and stuff. As at that time, being a member of a nonprofit for basketball and stuff, I understood, you know, Aristotle makes a point. Santa Maria, this is where we had a little issue, and it's still gonna be the issue, and this is why people will tend not to wanna do it here. And it comes down to, yes, I can go to Santa Maria. They're booked out about $75 an hour for a nonprofit right now. But if I do $75 an hour for 2 hours at $150, that gives me unattended. I don't have to open, I don't have to close, I don't gotta carry keys. That was my issue back then. So with fees, which I understand, just like when you rent a facility there in Santa Maria, the people renting, they don't gotta set up tables. They don't gotta set up chairs. So the more you charge, what are you offering for that charge? Comes down to is, if I rent and I pay, you know, like I said, I got no problems. This is something that past council should have started years back. We wouldn't be in this where our building is not being taken care of, and now council now is trying to get input and things to get done, and having to pull money from other spots to fix all this. So with that being said, that's why a lot of people are with the issue of, okay, I don't wanna have to pay fees because I'm the one that has to come in and open the doors, turn on the lights, close the doors, lock them, return the keys to do all this. If I'm gonna rent, I wanna be able to just come in, not have to worry about nothing, do my party, do my cleanup. When you go to certain places, they'll have the attendant who comes in, takes the garbage, throws it out, puts a new bag, so the people don't have trash overflowing. You know,
I think, so what you're saying is correct, but the thing is for nonprofits, because it's been a trend of not charging, we
No,
can't
yeah.
have a building attendant. But for all of our private events, we have a building attendant that does all those things, that checks the bathrooms, that takes the trash, that is walking around, making sure that the trash cans in the auditorium are being removed. But then to your point on setting up tables and chairs, I think it's more just that we don't have the capacity to be able to have like 2 or 3 building attendants to be able to help set up all those tables and all those chairs. So that's where we put that on them. And then in addition, part of the reason why we didn't raise some of the rates was because if you look at what Santa Maria offers versus what we offer in terms of tables and chairs, they offer like, I
But that's-
think the last time that I looked, they offer like 20 tables and like 200 chairs, and they're nice chairs, nice tables.
but that's why we have to,
Exactly.
we gotta
Judge.
get to that point. I'm not saying
Mhm.
coming out of the gate and boom, you're gonna pay this amount and have to still rent table chairs, but like I said before, you gotta step it gradually to see, okay, this is where I wanna hit. How do I get to that point? Okay, well, I gotta start off slow here just to get the people to understand this is where we're going.
Mhm.
As the years go on, eventually, okay, I'm gonna be at $100 an hour for nonprofits, and I'm gonna be at $200 an hour for a private event. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then that way, then we can, and then it's like, well, what's that? Well, you know what? We wanna be able to offer more
Mhm.
to the people, but we can't get there right now. But so little by little, we wanna make money so we can get nice tables and chairs. You know, to have to offer with a plan that if you come and rent for $5,000, you're getting, you know, 40 tables and 400 chairs or whatnot, but it's those steps to get there, which I didn't know, and I know, because they got, you know, they have the tax revenue. We don't have, and that's what we're trying to get to, you know, and I know when I sat in that meeting several years ago, there was a nonprofit that was like, well, I don't wanna have to pay for certain things that, you know, are free, you know, because it's to the public. But it's one of those is what about the upkeep? Which it comes down to, you're right, the upkeep. So, you know, as the fees go, like I told them then, I'm fine with fees. But there has to be something showing that, okay, if I'm gonna pay $50 an hour, $75 an hour, what do I get with it? You know, that's the whole thing, and when we were doing the fees before, that was the one question that never got answered.
Mhm.
You know, do we have to look at, okay, if you start doing that, okay, a part-timer that's gonna come in to work 4 to 8, you know, and that's gonna be those hours for that to be done where there's someone here to address it. And everything, you know, I like what you're doing. You know, it's something that's been a long time waiting. It's getting us in that right direction, you know. I got no problems paying fees as a nonprofit or as a personal use person, you know, I will always back that because that's what I said several years ago, and Amelia can attest to that when I talked about it. I didn't have an issue with it, even with the issue that someone else had for another part, for another facility. I was like, dude, you go to Santa Maria to use one of those or to a school, you're paying twice, 4 times that amount for it, but it always came down to who's there to open and make sure there's toilet paper, the restrooms are clean, the lights are on, they're locking the doors, we're walking out, we're done. So, yeah. That's all I got.
You mentioned, table, don't we have money in our ARPA funds for tables?
We do, I can take that to Rec and Park Commission and ask, or if with your direction, I can just go and find the tables.
Well, out of courtesy to them, just it's in the budget, so let's do that. That's my opinion.
Yeah, if they're earmarked already for
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
specifically.
And you gotta
Well, then,
spend it.
then you could just bypass.
I think the only reason why I've been in before is because that's more buildings than it is recreation, because from my understanding, that was for recreational programs, which this doesn't really fall under recreation programs, but if you want me to use it that way, I
No, I
definitely
think we
can.
need to, because sometimes we need chairs or tables out.
Okay,
What do you need from us?
direction, what would you like me to do?
Well, I think that it needs to be cleaned up a little. We don't need all these, thanks for the attachment, because it gives us an idea that we're really outside the norm. I personally don't have any objections to what you've recommended, but if you could take what your recommendations are, basically you've got them here. I haven't seen any thing that's abnormal, maybe the Memorial Park, it says, it said in the Memorial Park, it said these are the nonprofits that can have it free, and it didn't show them.
That's on the master fee schedule, I probably just
Okay,
didn't put that on there, but I believe it's,
What?
the comité. Yes.
this committee, the Lions,
Christmas
Kiwanis,
The one we just had.
The El Fiesta.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's the committee.
It's for those specific events.
It was.
Well, until it's changed, we just leave that until we come up with something else, so. Council, you need anything,
I think we do need to do a gradual, because the hardest part is this is a cultural change that we're doing in our city, and so those take the longest for people to understand where we're coming from. So I think if we could have some numbers and say, hey, we just renovated it, this is how much it costs us. One of the biggest complaints is it's new, but it doesn't get kept up, or it doesn't kept up because we continue to use it, but we don't have any money to keep it up. So if we use it, have money to keep it up, or at least just to break even, we're able to maintain it. So I think those are just conversations that if we get it agendized with community members, and they could come and talk and, let it all out, and then we can also share like, hey, this is where we're at and what we're seeing. I think it'll be an understanding for everybody.
I think, thank you for that. I think that echoes what Antonio was saying. Let's give us more time to look at this, bring it back to the council and say, we're gonna look at it, we're gonna move toward, you're there already, but I think it's best to say to these nonprofits, we're gonna formalize this stuff, so.
Is there any information or documents or anything that you would like me to bring back next time?
I think that, Lily was saying, something with as far as feasibility and see kind of where that break even is.
Like where,
You know, what covers us? The minimum, what's gonna cover us and I would love to see possible in the future, even just when we get that kind of information back. A actual workshop where we kind of just sit down and look at it, put it on paper, on the wall, this is what it's at. This is what we're doing and this is where it needs to be, and give it a more fine-tuned, lock it in, because if we can do that. And cover ourselves and have an understanding among staff and city and the Recreation Commission, I think that would work perfect, so we have 5, how many, what do we have, 5 places that we need to
Members, yeah.
No, 5 actual.
Locations.
Locations that we need to manage. Is it 6?
There's Jack O'Connell, Leroy, Senior Center, Vets Hall, City Hall. So I think that is.
Yeah.
And central events, right?
When I was thinking about that barbecue pit being open, like we want people to use it. But we don't want people to use it either. So even having that lock on it
Yeah.
and saying, okay, you know what, this is something that you can use. And we put that bottom fee. But if you don't clean up all your, either you're throwing trash in there or cardboard and burning it after. That's not a part of it. I mean, that's gonna relinquish your deposit for that barbecue pit. Because we can't have that.
Yeah.
You can't have people burning their leftover discarded stuff, boxes in there and it's half burned. Just makes a mess for the city. So I would like to see just a kind of workshop, we figure it all out. It's on the wall. That's fine tuning it.
I don't want to lead to this, but maybe we'd have another joint meeting with the Recreation Commission when you bring this up. So they're here at the table and anybody that wants to talk about that, they can.
And I agree with all my colleagues, and it's just baby steps. It is cultural. We gotta figure this out.
I think there's one, go ahead here.
I don't know if you can, just, think about maybe calling and checking like with the Filipino Hall, what they charge, what they
We have
offer.
those numbers. I'm just gonna provide them because it's such a drastic difference that I just don't, I think the biggest struggle that I'm having right now is just constantly having people come and tell us that it's too high or that they're gonna leave because they don't want to pay that much money, when I tell them.
So
it's
maybe
worth it.
what you can do is, if we get a chance, make like a chart. To kind of like show them like, look, you go to Santa Maria, this is
Oh,
what they're
right,
charging for
comparison.
nonprofit.
Yeah.
Right now, hourly,
Right.
and if you call Parks and Rec right now. They're like almost 2 weeks out. If you're lucky to even get. Sometime at Edwards Gym or somewhere else, and then show them, well, you wanna rent the Vets Hall at Santa Maria, this is what they're charging for the Vets Hall. You wanna rent, such and such, this is what they charge, and this is what we're charging. And it kind of helps give to a little bit of an insight, like, what's her name?
Mara?
Shannon?
No.
No.
Oh,
Loretta?
Loretta?
Really?
Like with her, with like, how, the rent, like, wow, you guys, wow, that's really inexpensive. Like, okay, like, how much are people charging to you if they have a kitchen? What are they charging for that? So it kind of gives them like, and it kind of opens up people's eyes, because you know what, you want to have an event, yeah, you can go and do it elsewhere. But there's other things that they look at, but it's like at the long run, it's like, okay, but it always boils down to the one thing I said, who's there to open and close? Why am I being handed a set of keys and having to be when I'm paying all this money?
Well, that's just for nonprofits though.
No, but I mean, but that's what I'm saying, like, but for like everything, like, that should be across the board on all, not nobody having a set of keys to have to
Yeah.
open and close.
Do that data. That you have to do maybe a community that mirrors us. I mean, it's hard to compare ourselves to Santa Maria when we fit more along like we're Grover City or Oceano or Rio Grande. Finding out what the San Luis Grange Hall charges for some of their usage, or I'm sure Oceano has something in their district that they can utilize, or Rio Grande or Grover Beach, Ramona Gardens. There has to be something that mimics our size and more to Guadalupe's price.
There's a building that's soon in Guadalupe to come into the rental market,
Yeah.
8,000. One day,
Wow.
8,000. And it's just about as big as these 2 rooms.
Jeepers.
So Yeah, it's there. People are saying, well, it's gonna cost us this much to build the thing and it's gonna cost us so much to operate it. So we're not far off in terms of what we need to
So,
do.
yeah, I'd love to see a future workshop and it probably needs to be done pretty darn quick too.
I have to say one more thing. I've been gone for a long time, so
Welcome back.
thank you. So being back. I
Can you, yeah,
I think
Sometimes we, when I played basketball there or hung out there, or went to my sister's wedding was there. I didn't think it was that great, right? But now that I'm back and I'm looking at event centers all the time, that place is amazing. And it holds a lot of people and it's historical and it needs to be valued for what it is. And if people here aren't going to value it for what it is, people from the outside will hear about it and they will come because it's one, a deal. And two, it's very comfortable. It has a stage, bands can play. You don't have to worry about, neighbors because everything is inside. It's a great venue. So sometimes we just have to look at things with new eyes and like you said, Gilbert, just kind of get people to be proud of what we have here and say, the only way we can keep things like this is to charge a little bit more. And when you see the dresses or you see the bands or you see the food and I know that the cheapest thing that they paid for was my venue. And so it's not like they've just decided that they're going to try and get the venue as cheaply as they can, but they're not going to give anything up either, right? So
It's like they're coming to the event knowing they're gonna be spending money.
yeah, definitely.
okay, thank you. Hannah, dude, are you good with, okay,
Thank you.
good job. It's very complex,
It is very.
but it needs to happen. All right, what's the next item? Okay, future. Thank you. Future agenda item. Any future agenda items?
Nope.
I don't have any.
Tony?
Negative, no agenda items.
Saw that little blurb you had on your business out there, pretty powerful. So, what's the name of your group that you're working with?
The name of my group.
You're with.
What group am I a part of? I don't know.
The one you're over there now with.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so I'm working for right now I'm working for the foundation for the California Community Colleges. So that's what I'm working with right now, I think.
All right, announcements 13, council activity committee reports. Left side, anything, Gilbert?
No, I believe, I don't have anything.
Okay, G?
No.
No, we'll probably start reviewing applications for our micro enterprise advisory committee. We'll start those probably this month, I believe. So we've already received some applicants for the funds and we'll start reviewing those this month and announcing them sometime by the end of the year.
Yeah, thank you.
Am I able to announce something?
Pardon?
Am I able to announce something?
Of course.
No, you can't.
Tomorrow will be the first day for Danza Azteca. They're gonna start doing classes. So it'll be at the cultural center and it starts tomorrow at 5:30.
What is it?
Outside, correct?
That's an idea.
Danza Azteca,
I'll talk to them all. Okay.
Wait,
it's starting here?
Yeah.
Outside?
I think it's outside.
Is that Bethel?
David.
I'd also like to make a quick announcement. The public meeting for the
Oh, yeah.
Central Park
Yes,
renovation
that's right.
project.
that's
It's
the month, is that
Thursday,
Thursday?
October
6 o'clock.
13,
October 13th,
from 6 to 8 p.m. here.
right here, okay. That's some
This
part.
Thursday.
I have a couple items, the kickoff for the management conference for economic EDA, which is the $4.8 million from the feds. We actually met, we discussed it, and then Tom was on the call, very so Todd and myself. The federal share is $4.8 million. Our share is $262,000. For total, for the first part of fixing the Leroy Park is $5.1 million. We have to complete it by September 2027. That's the last.
You mean Royal Theater?
Royal Theater, what did I say, a convoy?
Yeah, Leroy.
Let's do that too, so. Royal Theater, my fault. And then, although we have to spend the money by 2027, I'm sure we're gonna do that. The plan is to combine the state money, 5 million with that, EDA money, so that we could do the project at the same time. SBCAG got a meeting, this past Monday. Was it Monday? No, on 3rd. It's basically code related. Basically, we still can continue with the Zoom. And we don't have to do in-person stuff, so we can actually stay with Zoom. All the public agencies within the state of California, visited by Senator Monique Limon. We met at 1 o'clock for the $3 million state money for the community center. Community center is going to be, it's probably going to total $9 million or so. And it's a 23,000 square foot building where a lot of folks are going to, and it's for childcare and it's for community programs to participate. As you may know, the 52 houses now that can be torn down, there's going to be 80 affordable housing rental units for the next 3 years or so. And then we at 2 o'clock went over to Royal Theater. The $5,000 mock-up check was presented. Then at 3 o'clock, we actually went to the senior center with Los Amigos de Guadalupe and talked with Senator Limon about what we needed. She covers San Luis, the 19th senatorial district in California, San Luis and Santa Barbara County. So she was very receptive to whatever we have any issues to get over her. So I enjoyed myself at the mayor's ball this past Saturday. I'm kidding. And they raised money. Santa Barbara, North County, Santa Barbara. What are they? North County,
United Way.
United Way. I'm sorry, Phil was there. Thank you, Phil. I enjoyed myself. The people I was with, there was a lady that actually lives in Pasadena, and she's now joining the Dunes Center as a board member. And so the food bank, we did it last Thursday, 200 families, 200 family plus. And then that served 302 individuals, so it was quite busy. That's all I had.
Oh.
Yes.
The senior center is doing about 40 meals a day.
Okay, great,
Nice.
great,
You
great,
can reiterate.
good meals. So,
Yeah, real good meals.
good meals. Did you hear that, everybody? 40 meals a day, senior center. So.
Yep.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn the closed session?
I motion to adjourn the closed session.
All those in favor of the motion, say aye.